everybody, welcome back to another episode of Talking Cardboard. We've got kind of an abbreviated crew because we're doing something a little different this time. We are doing a preview review of a game that is yet to hit the market in Chaos Kingdoms. We've got most of our usual crew, Corey, myself, and John. In the spirit of switching things up, John, why don't you give a rundown of this game?
Alright, so Chaos Kingdoms is a game set in like a medieval fantasy realm. You're playing as one of these heroes on one of three separate objectives you're trying to hit. So your first objective is to be the last hero standing. The second objective is finding the path to eternal life, which includes collecting these 4 Jabberwocky tokens that are on the map. And then the last objective is to increase your hero's power by 20 and then build 5 shrines to yourself throughout the realm, which basically promotes you to godhood. Yeah, so a bunch of different win type conditions. And each of the characters have their own backstory. There's a whole bunch of lore, and we're just glossing over the top of it. But that's the gist of the game, how you win. Corey, how does a turn typically look in Chaos Kingdoms?
Well, and just to clarify, too, you just need one of those objectives to win the game. You
Yep.
don't need all three, so you can pick your path to victory. Yep. Turn basically looks like in the spirit of Talisman, which we haven't played, but I've done a little bit of research on. You roll out 1 die, and you can take movement up to the amount of pips on the die. And whatever space you land on, you can interact with that space. So you've got, like we kind of said earlier, you've got like different town spots. You can interact with getting followers, fight different creatures and monsters with that. You can gain items and loot from winning battles and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and then overall you're making your character as strong as possible and either taking out the Jabberwockies, taking each other out, or just gaining strength so you can go around and become a god. I think this game has a pretty good foundation, a lot of potential from it. They have such a great and in-depth backstory. It's almost like you're reading a book for a lot of it. For better and for worse, like every character has its own entire page or 2-page backstory. The board, the different icons on the board have their own little backstory. So one castle ruins has a different story than, say, another one. And I thought that was a really interesting touch. The artwork on all of the cards is just really cool. I think that was a huge pro for this this game overall. It made it much more engaging. John, what do you think some of the other pros of this game was?
I think a lot of, like, you're getting into the lore with the characters and the board, and a lot of the heroes have special abilities that actually play into that lore. And then another pro for me was the item and loot cards. I mean, there's some pretty powerful and kind of crazy interactions you can kind of stumble into with those, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and my biggest thing was that the lore and how in-depth everything was. I mean, you can really tell they spent a lot of time with that. The art direction really followed in suit too, and I mean, it was just oozing with theme, and you can tell whoever wrote, all the history and the backstory to all this really spent a whole lot of time on building and developing this. It really seems like this could almost turn into like almost a book series or its own little sort of comic run or something.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of the items that were just really interesting, that there are some items that let you move unlimited spaces. And when somebody's chasing you, it's really good to be able to get away. Or there were some high-risk, high-reward items. And we're trying not to spoil anything or see if the final product has something kind of different. But definitely had some high-risk, high-reward items in there. And weapons that would just, if you thought you were out of the game, some of these weapons really brought you back in, adding like 1 or 2 extra die rolls to what you're doing. It just, a lot of different crazy things or chaos that could happen in this game.
Yeah, definitely. And with that element of luck, there was a whole lot of luck to the game, especially with the die rolls. So it's nice to have a little bit of that swingy mitigation to certain things that can really, like the title suggests, Chaos Kingdoms, that could really add some needed chaos. It kind of helped balance things out quite a bit.
And I know the game was slow to start out, the first few turns, but once you got into it, things kind of ramped up.
Yep.
And as your character was getting stronger, it was a mad dash to see who could get the strongest. And then when you would start attacking other people or going after the Jabberwockies, to kind of start that race towards the finish. And I know, John, you're one that's typically combative. So how did you feel the combat played?
It was pretty good. I mean, you could really find yourself in a bind if you just were hitting that encounter deck wrong and falling behind on gaining experience or getting items that added to your attack power. I think that happened the first time we played for me. I just wasn't getting that, and I got hurt by a few monsters I encountered that were just way above my power level, and I think finally one of you guys, maybe even Kaler, finished me off. So
Yeah.
But, I mean, the combat still played pretty well. It's just luck could really kind of knock you out of that part of the game unless you start hitting those encounter cards right.
Yep. And that is a heavy tone to this game too. It is more luck driven, more just kind of not as much whimsical, I guess is the wrong word, but more kind of push your luck, or just more luck driven. And it's not as strategic as like some of the other games I like to play. But having said that, one of my pros is I had the most fun with kind of the cat and mouse style game where I found myself either going after people or running away from people quite often, and that was kind of fun to see if I could catch up to somebody and see what the luck of the die would have for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know at least pretty early on in the first game we played, my luck ran out very quickly where I couldn't move very far. So my turn consisted of not doing a whole lot. And truth be told, I kind of got checked out pretty early, because if you can't move and you can't get encounters or gain experience, you're not really doing a whole lot. And then when other people are really making a charge or being able to do cat and mouse, if you're still kind of spinning your wheels, it puts you at a huge disadvantage.
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
Which we could kind of roll into the cons a little bit. I guess that's one of the cons of the game that we found as a con. It might not really matter to a different style group of gamers, but for what we tend to play and more enjoy, that felt like it was a little bit of a hindrance to the gameplay.
Yeah.
Not saying it's a con for everybody, but maybe for us it was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think even though it took us a long time to learn what you could do on a turn, and it seems convoluted, we were able to figure out and add more rhythm to what we were doing. Yeah, and even for those of us, John, like you and I, where we didn't do so hot, we got off to pretty slow starts, we at least got into a rhythm of what we could do. Yep. So, John, what else do you think that this game is kind of lacking a little bit?
This is kind of like a weird con that kind of goes with one of our pros, but you have this beautiful board. I mean, you've got these different runes, mountains, like dungeon type hexes, cities, and then you've also got this awesome art with like the different terrain of this realm. And unfortunately, right now, none of these things really are differentiated. I mean, a mountain tile's the same as a plains tile or forest tile, and I thought there was a lot of potential for doing something with that, whether or not it just affects movement or different types of encounters based on like what kind of encounter zone you end up in, whether it be a dungeon or a rune. Maybe there's different monsters or difficulty levels associated with these, but
yeah, a little bit of missed potential with that. But having said that, I don't know if there's a plan for an expansion in the future. This is also just a prototype version of the game, so some of the rules may vary, could change a little bit, and maybe the direction of the board or what's kind of going on could change eventually. I know it's going on Kickstarter here real soon, so we'll see what changes come with the final product.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did find that a little bit.
And that'll definitely be something we're interested to check out and see exactly where this game goes. So team, let's head on to our final thoughts for Chaos Kingdoms. I'll go first. I think it has fantastic story. It's very deep in terms of the immersion that they want you to get in as characters. I think that it could improve upon having more interactions player and board, or more balanced interactions player to player, because I feel like that kind of got out of whack. But this game just it looks like it's got some definite potential to it. Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at least for us, some of those points you had brought up is just for us and our play style. I know talking one-on-one with the designers of the game, having conversations back and forth with them, they do have definitely a goal in mind for this game, for the type of player, for their audience they're looking for. And I think, you know, like they had alluded to, I know Talisman was some inspiration behind the design of this game, which we haven't played. But from my understanding, more of the luck-driven RPG style in a board game style. If you're looking for that type of game, this is definitely what it's going to give you.
Agreed. And John, for the final thoughts?
I mean, I just agree with you guys say. I mean, if you're looking for some good RPG fun with some crazy loot cards and whatnot, I mean, there's some pretty cool ones in there. Yeah, it's does what it sets out to do. So
yeah.
So I know, like you said, it'll be showing up on Kickstarter soon. So look out for Chaos Kingdoms. And for everyone here at Talking Cardboard, let's play some games. And Kaler, if you're out there, please come home. Please.